Everyone. I just can't tell you how happy I am to be here, that this type of activity is going on. It's needful and it's helpful. So first, I want to extend my thanks, my gratitude to PowerPanel for extending the invitation to share my work experience. But I'd also like to applaud, because a little research I've done, you guys have come a long way in a relatively short time. So I'm just excited as as anything, because you've tapped into a growing yet still undeveloped area in life. Our subject matter for today is a topic that should be carried onward, upward, and outward. Okay, until this area of deficiency ceases to exist. So I also want to applaud you on your work in this area. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to start from the back and go start from now and go backwards. So as I said, I just retired from 35 years of working in a chemical industry, and when I started, it truly was female deficiency. There weren't a lot of female chemists, and there were certainly not a lot of African American chemists. So I'm kind of like a success story at the company, because I started at 35 years ago, and I actually, I struggle about whether to say stuff or not, but I started, and when I started, I was making $6.50 an hour. And that, the minimum wage is so much higher than that now. But that was like, to me, I thought I had paid her. And I was a single mom. I had my daughter as a teenager. And so when I had a couple other jobs. I went to college after high school and things, but I got this job. I was really happy about it. And I worked very hard, and I was determined to be the best. I have a competitive nature, but I want to say that, we don't have to necessarily compete with each other, because you only need to compete with yourself, okay? Where you want to go, what you want to do, and you set the bar. So it doesn't have to be predicated on someone else's and what they're doing. It's okay to have people that you see in various positions and say, wow, I wouldn't mind being like her, or I wouldn't mind doing that. But your focus has to be on you, what your abilities are, what you can do, what you want out of life, okay? So I was hired as a QC chemist. 5 years later, I got promoted to project chemist, and I'm going through this because 5 years later after that, I got promoted to development chemist, which that wasn't really a promotion, but I went into research and development. So I married, and I married on the job, which I don't promote, but I don't promote that, but I did meet my husband on the job, and I tried very hard not to have this on-the-job romance, but I ended up doing just that. And so when I went to research and development, I had my children, and so it was a good move. I was glad, but then 6 years later, I married him earlier than this, but 6 years later, my husband died of cancer. So, my story is that I was a single teenage mom, went into the workforce, and was able to care for me and my daughter, and then I got married, and so I had 2 more children, and so I was like feeling really good about myself and my place in life, but only to find that my husband had acquired cancer, and so he died several years later. So here I was, single again, But a year after that, the place where I started as a QC chemist called me and said, do you want to be the supervisor? And so here was the thing, they offered me a salary, and I was like, I kind of already make that much, and they didn't know, because they were like, oh, you couldn't make that kind of salary level, and I did. So when they were back and forth, and I was like, I don't care, I'll stay where I'm at. But they did offer me more money, and I went there, and I was a supervisor. So I did that for about, I think it was 8 or 9 years, and then I got promoted to the managerial position. Now, in my managerial pool, there was 10 managers, and I was the only female. Not only that, I was the only African American female. So to say that I was a a little bit leery. I was afraid. I didn't, I knew all of the guys because I had been working there that long, but to be their equal now, you just never know. People that you work with, and I came up through the ranks, I had people that were under me that were angry and jealous and things like that, surprisingly, because, it was females and males, but the males were really harsh about my role and my position, but, I had to make some demands, because at first I just sat there and watched, they were using profane language in the meetings, and had to travel with these people. I had to have meetings on a regular basis, and they would say, oh, sorry, Roberta. Oh, excuse me, Roberta. And so one day I got fed up with it. And I said, listen, don't say apologize because you don't mean it. And I said, if you don't talk to your wife that way or your mother that way, please don't talk that way in front of me. So it took me a couple of years to get that courage up, but I did, and a couple of them said, well, I talk to my family that way. I didn't know what to say because I said, I'm somebody's mother and I was somebody's wife, so I didn't know what to say. And true to form, they really didn't stop it all that much. They got a little quieter about it and things like that. But, some of the things I learned in working with them and traveling with them is that, because I love what I did, that's so important that you love what you do. And you can't, I know it's hard in today's climate, you can't let the money dictate or rule your decisions. You really can't, because I tell my children that, and they're finding it to be true, that if you love what you do, you'll make the money. If not, where you start later on, you will make it. Because today's time is different than, I was part of affirmative action. That's how I got in a lot of company jobs in the past. But, that is now over and done with. Women are taking their place in society and in the workforce. They're getting their degrees, their higher degrees, and they are, being able to make decisions and acquire employment like they never did. I forgot to look at my clock. Let's see what time I started. But anyhow, so if you love what you do, you'll stay with the job, and that's what I always knew what I wanted to be. I always wanted to work in the lab, and since I was a little kid, I just wanted to be a mad scientist and building and things like that. But I know a lot of college younger adults don't know what they want to do, and one of my children went into college undeclared, and I was like, what is this undeclared? How come you don't know what you want to do? But I think the field is so vast now. It's so many decisions. Technology has taken off, and so it's like, what do we do? But the thing is, again, if you find what you love to do, you will succeed. That's so important. And the second thing, as far as being a female in a male-dominated workforce, be yourself. You can't be anyone else. You have to be yourself. You are women, young ladies, females. You're a woman. So just be a woman. That's not hard, because that's how you were created. Okay? And don't compete again with anyone except yourself. Love who you are and be content with who you are. Nobody's perfect, and I know you know these things, but you need to continually hear them and reinforce them. That, okay, I'm not so tall, I'm not statuesque, I'm not skinny, I don't have long hair. All of these things that we let rule our emotions, you have to just accept who you are and be the best person you can be. Okay? So, and that is, you don't have to act, talk, or think like a man. Excuse me, Steve Harvey. No shade. No shade. But you don't have to think like a man. You think like who you are. And you build on that, okay? And so there's a golden rule principle that should be applied to the totality of your life. And it's biblical, but also it's just an principle ethic. So the ethic of reciprocity. So that means that you should aim to treat each other the way you want to be treated. That is so huge, because, some people don't care how they get to the top. They really don't. And in the corporate world, women are catty and men are dismissive. They're degrading, and you have to face all those things. But here's the thing again. You don't have to be like they are. I continue to treat them with respect because they're human beings. Not, and positionally, okay, my boss, I gave him the right respect, but I should make sure that he knew that you got to respect me too. If they don't give it, you have to demand it in a way. There's a subtle way to do it. You don't have to be forceful. You don't have to be interface, and you don't have to, be aggressive. Because, your aggression should all be geared to yourself. Go to the gym, run, exercise. Those are things you can do aggressively. But in the workplace, in my opinion, it's unattractive, okay? So you have to continue to be the best person you can be. So you treat everybody with tolerance, consideration, and compassion, okay? So that's the golden rule. It's out of the Bible. It's in Matthew 7. And be gracious with everyone, both the superiors and your subordinates. Now, I don't like to call it that, but that's what the world calls it. You have, your superior, you have a subordinate. So you're sandwiched in. I was sandwiched in. So I tried to help and work with the people that reported to me, and I tried to work with the people that I reported to. Also my peers. So, and it gets a bit hard. It gets hard. It takes some determination. Every night I went over the day's activities and said, now, what happened today that didn't work well or didn't, and so I rehearsed these things. That's what I felt like I had to do to survive, because it wasn't a great, So the other thing is remain grounded, humble, humility. Doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It just means that you understand who you are and what you're there for. We're there for a paycheck. It's nice if you have friendships and things like that, but I thought I worked 10 years with people I thought were kind of my friends. And I remember my husband saying, you think they love you? And I said, well, why don't they? I love people. I get along with everybody. And he said, well, they don't all love you. He said, you need to be able to spot who does and who doesn't. So that was a real good piece of advice that I got from him, because people will let you know how they feel about you. You just gotta wait and watch. So you don't have to go around walking in the dark. So remain grounded. So don't let your education or your position go to your head. It's kind of hard when you start making six figures and you never thought you'd do that. So it's kind of hard to remain humble when you're given authority, power. When I had to turn in my laptop and my iPad and my phone, that crushed me, because I love having all that for free. But you got to remain humble, and as far as ethics, develop as many as you can and quickly as possible, and stick with them. What you value, you have to know what you value, and then you have to hold on to your values, okay? Because I'm telling you, there will be circumstances and times when people will challenge your values. And so it's the hardest thing in the world saying, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not going there. I would go on trips, business trips, and they would be all at the bar drinking. I didn't drink, then. So I had my day of drinking, when I was coming up, but I just don't now. But, it was kind of hard. You always feel like the outsider, particularly the female. And then again, they drink and they start cussing and carrying on. It's like, I don't want to be in this environment. So don't beat yourself up over mistakes, because they're stepping stones towards your growth, okay? You have to learn from your mistakes, because that's the only bad thing if you don't learn, if you keep doing the mistake over again. I told my children, if you fail that test, you're going to have to take it again in life. You will keep going through the same thing until you learn a lesson, of what not to do and what to do. So today's accomplishments are tomorrow's lesson. Maintain a balance in life. Don't let your job absorb all of your intellect, your energy, and your passion. Develop core values and build on them. The job isn't everything, because when they start paying you any kind of money, they want blood, sweat, and tears. Right? That's why they give you a phone. That's why they give you a laptop, because they want. I didn't know that. I couldn't wait to be a boss. And then I was like, this isn't all it's chalked up to be. They're calling me weekends and nights. I'm like, what? I don't want that. But I was there, and so I had to stick with it. So, and remember, our climate today, they were showing a video of all the African American women that are in the legislative body, and that's just wonderful. We're on the rise, and you need to keep working toward it. But if you just remember some of these core values, and remember what Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. So never let people bring you down to their level. And that's always a constant battle, because they want to. Like I said, sometimes when they talk in these meetings, I said, they don't know me. I could cuss them out really good. I know how to cuss, you know, but I wouldn't. I didn't want to go low. I maintained a level of professionalism. And of course, now when I left, they're like, oh, you're the best boss ever. You this and this. And I'm like, okay, nobody didn't treat me like that when I was there. So again, stay on course. Have your own path. It's yours. It's your life. No one else's. So you don't need to compare, compete, even with your parents or your siblings and things like that. You really don't need to compete. Everyone was born with a gift and a talent. And you got to find out what that is and then build on it. Okay? Thank you for listening.